Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. We are here. And what a peculiar episode of House of the Dragon. I'm joined by Carmine of Red Team Review. How are you this evening, Mr. Red Team Review?
Doing better than Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, that's for sure.
Hey man, as somebody said, Sunfire is Mitch McConnell is like Sunfire. We all thought he was gone. All thought he was gone. He's still there. Still there.
Poor Lindsey Graham. They have to fly the grinder flags at half staff.
Well, I'm sorry, say that again.
They have to fly the grinder flags at
the grinder flags at half staff. Carmine sends me this meme that says 31 years and no sexual harassment claims from women, and I replied back, from women. So House of the Dragon, this episode, it's a slow grind. I do like it. I don't think it's bad, but at the same time, it's so not the rest of the show. Like the rest of the show is just shock, 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 in your face, in your face, in your face. The best they had for us in terms of shock in this episode was a rando that we were introduced in the episode is killed by Daron, a character we're introduced to in the episode. Grant, yeah, I know we saw him 2 episodes ago, but I'm saying we were introduced to him as a character here. And that's the biggest shocking moment, is a character that we don't know killing another character that we don't know. It's very, very different from when you start just listing the in your face shock of episode after episode of House of the Dragon, where it was just every episode. Oh, we have an orgy in this episode. Oh, this is Daemon God mode. This is Kristen Cole beating to death someone, at a wedding. And here, this is a lot of politics, a lot of talk, not much action, a lot of setup. More so than I think of any House of the Dragon episode. I can't think of anything else that was like this. What are your impressions, Carmine?
It's because there's only technically 6 episodes for season 3. They had to cram as much stuff in it. When we watched it last night, you were like, damn, this episode is long. Yeah, it's just a series of like random ass scenes. Someone on Twitter was saying like, this just reminds me of old school Game of Thrones. They're going all over the place. Yeah, you kind of miss that from old school Game of Thrones, but also some of the storylines I'm just not really that invested or interested in. I think Aegon and Larys is the weakest stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't care that much.
It's true. At least with that storyline, we know the 2 characters, and we know Aegon, so we have an emotional connection to him. And so, this kind of comeuppance of like he having to be humbled, at least does something for us. What I have a rough time with Rhaena, where you have this nothing character that we've never spent any time with. And when we do spend time with she's running around, not saying anything in the Vale. And then all of a sudden now she's completely transformed. And you're like, well, we didn't know what she was like before. So I don't know what this transformed Rhaena is, other than that she has a new hairstyle.
So again, we discussed this briefly, but I'll just say it again. In season 1 House of the Dragon, there is like a 2-3 minute moment between Rhaena and her mother about her dad ignoring her. It's just 3 minutes. And then again, towards the season finale of season 1, where Daemon lists off all the dragons and says some of them are riderless. And then Rhaena looks up. And then again, you have her whole trial of her trying to tame Sheep Stealer. I don't know. Somehow I feel like enough wasn't given there to really make that stick the landing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's like I say, I don't think this is a bad episode by any means, but I think a lot of people are going to come away saying, "Oh, this was boring. What happened?" I mean, there was really great character development of establishing Ormond as the new villain. He's an intriguing villain, but he does seem like a he does seem it all seems lower stakes, which is kind of how Game of Thrones ended, right? You had the high stakes White Walker situation, and then once that was done, we have a lower stakes fight for King's Landing. You know, you're like you're talking about the fate of the world, and now we're talking about like petty politics. You know, it's the same here. Like Aemond, I feel, is the big baddie. Like he is the guy. He's the thing to deal with. And now we step down. We have to reintroduce ourselves to this different villain who is not as intriguing or dangerous as Aemond. Now, I kind of don't blame the showrunners. I think again the source material has just fundamental structural flaws in it that they just have to deal with.
Say the line, Preston. Say the line.
You want me to say George fucked up? George fucked up.
Hey, yeah. That scene with Ormond and Daron reminded me of Tywin and Tommen at Joffrey's funeral, like where he's trying to like get Joffrey to come to that certain conclusion and trying to manipulate him.
Yeah, and cool. You know, okay, let's go through the plot lines. In sort of order. Okay, so heading from north to south, we've got Daemon and Rhaenys, and I'm sorry, Wet Blanket Rhaena, not Rhaenys, Rhaena. Wet Blanket Daemon and Wet Blanket Rhaena. I definitely enjoyed the conversation between Daemon and Jane Eyre. Both great actors, both dickheads. We love to see dickheads talking to each other and insulting each other and, you know, being underhanded and stuff. Nice little scene. Wet Blanket Rhaena, we just have never been introduced to who she is. So her changing fundamentally doesn't mean anything to me. I think it's a real, maybe I'm just biased because I'm still angry about them cutting the Nettles plot, but it's just, I just don't think, I wish they would have given more time to Rhaena. Early on, we should have known something about her. Because you're right, like the biggest Rhaena scene we're given is when it was a different actress in season 1. Like that was our biggest.
They couldn't give Rhaena any time in season 2 because they had to give all that time to Alicent to complain why the patriarchy doesn't let her commit war crimes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a lot of wasted time. And all right, so if we're still heading south, I guess Larys and Aegon would be the next. I guess that I have more emotional connection there because we know these characters. Larys has completely changed. Like you'd think that he would be a loose cannon, that he would be killing people in the middle of the night and doing random shit. I'm not quite sure how they got away from the guys who were going to kill them at the Dragon. They just kind of distracted him and then left. But you know, at least there's that. We're supposed to think about this you know, I know they're just trying to give Aegon something to do until the end, you know, but so they got to have something. And this is the story, him getting humbled. Heading a little down, I guess we've got Kristen Cole arriving at Harrenhal with Gawain, which I'm intrigued by these characters. It's not that I don't think that these characters are really interesting. I like Alice Rivers. I like Cole. I like Gawain. The thing is, I know they're not going anywhere. I know that nothing's happening with this story. Like, you know, it's like you're spoiled with the source material. It's like, I know what's going to happen. And so his story is going to be a big whimper. It's like, I got PTSD after Rook's Rest, and now I'm wandering in the forest. We get to Harrenhal. Aemon's not even there. Now I'm going to like just go fucking kill myself against the guy from Sons of Anarchy. Is that it? Is that Butcher's Ball? He's just turned Butcher's Ball into like his long suicide, which is not what I expected. It's not at all what I expected of that character, or Gawain. You know, of course, in the source material, Gawain has been long dead for a while, so it's what they're doing with Gawain is, new. I was expecting more between Alice Rivers and Aemond, actually, because there were rumors in the source material that Aemond fucks her and she gets pregnant, but that doesn't happen at all. So, or at least that we know of. Maybe when she was healing him, she molested him. I don't know. She pulled a Jenny or Forrest Gump's mom thing or whatever. And then King's Landing. A lot in King's Landing. Manderley is Master of Coin. I don't understand that. Like, why did you get rid of an actor that you already cast as Master of Coin to shove in Manderley?
You know what? I'll defend this. I love the actor. I believe his name is
the guy from Fantastic Beasts. Yeah.
The guy from, I know him as the guy from Balls of Fury, the ping pong movie, Dan Fogler. Yeah. I love him. Like, perhaps attacks. Like, just, I don't know. The 1 minute of screen time he had, I loved him. I don't know. I mean,
if you've seen the Fantastic Beasts movies, like, and they're nothing to write home about, but he and the lead guy are the best parts. He's the character you connect with because he's the Muggle, and he is very charismatic. I will admit that he is much more likable and interesting than the actor they had playing Lord Celtigar. But it's just very interesting. Should have cast him as Lord Celtigar to begin with, right? And then we wouldn't be in this situation.
I like him as Manderley. He looks like a Manderley.
Does he look like? I mean, he looks like a Manderley. I mean, he's very charismatic. I will grant that. I mean, it's sort of like Ulf the White. Like, I don't necessarily think they're doing anything very interesting with Ulf the White, but like Ulf the White has a lot of charisma, and you like Ulf the White for some reason because he's just so ridiculous and pathetic and like goofy. Well, Hugh the Hammer.
The Dragon Seeds, just we're waiting for the hammer to drop on the Dragon Seeds when like they're gonna get interesting. Because even our boy Adam, like he's not Adam, Ulf, Hugh. They're not really. I mean, they're just there, not doing much.
They've really beaten into the ground. They've really seeded the betrayal a lot. Like they've just been treating Ulf like shit for so. I mean, I guess there hasn't been that many episodes. I'm like. But it feels like they've just been treating Ulf like shit forever, even though obviously Ulf has only been a Dragon Seed since what, like episode 7 of season 2. So it hasn't been that long, but it feels like that,
like a week or two, maybe.
Yeah,
not a month.
No. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, obviously, like episodes 8, 1, and 2 were 1 week. But it could have been another week at this point. It's hard. I've been observing things like the rotting of bodies and the healing of characters is off because they're passing through Rook's Rest, and soldiers' bodies are still rotting as people are like trying to steal stuff off them, which makes it seem like they died like a week ago. But Aegon's wounds are really healed at this point, and he was savagely burned. So, which is it? Like how long has it been? And then of course, I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. There was a little bit of trying to give Alan Oakenfist some stuff to do. You're gonna be my hand. That's kind of new stuff to give Oakenfist. To give
not really replace Corlys with Alan, but like just sit there in my stead while I go take care of Triarchy forces. Corlys's entire shtick throughout the entire show has always been the Triarchy suck, my wife, my legacy, and the docs. That's it. That's really all.
Yeah.
He had one cool episode in episode 1, season 3, where he actually did some things. That's about it. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
It's fine. Give it to our boy Abu Bakr. He needs it.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny that they've given so much screen time to Alan when he's not the important one in the story. Like, Alan's important post dance. But it's, it's funny how, like, Adam is the character that actually does shit in Princess of the Queen, Fire and Blood. Alan doesn't do stuff until later, but they've given so much more time to Alan. Adam, I just feel like he's just a cardboard cutout, unlike Alan.
You know what I think is happening here? Do you remember who Miles O'Brien is from Star Trek?
Of course. What are you talking about? You're talking to me. What are you talking about? You're like,
I don't know the extent of your Star Trek knowledge.
Do you know who? Hey, Carmine, have you ever seen the anime show One Piece? Like, what do you fucking,
Never.
like, what you're asking me if I know who fucking Miles O'Brien is? Like, what do you,
actor for Miles O'Brien?
Yeah, of course. Colm, what's his face? Miles Colm.
Yeah.
What's his name?
The actor, they got along with the actor so much, they just kept giving him storylines because they enjoyed working with him. I imagine for Abu Bakr Salim and maybe some other people as well, that's probably the case. Like, they probably enjoy working with the actor so much, or just giving him random shit to do so he stays on set.
Because he's a good actor. He's not, I mean, I don't know if he's a better actor than Adam because they haven't given Adam any fucking lines. So, I mean, they haven't given him a shot. But they've given everything to Bakr Salim.
I'm gonna be very fair with you, man. Right before we started the stream, we watched the mid-season trailer. The other half of the season looks fucking phenomenal. Like, like we got 2 battles. It looks like maybe a third, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if they split Tumbleton into 2 battles. But obviously we got Butcher's Ball and we got at least one Tumbleton coming, which means I mean, you think they'll end the season with Dragon Pit that fast?
I doubt it.
You think you're going to push Dragon Pit, and God's Eye to season 4?
Absolutely, it has to be.
Then you're talking really compressing the the end of the story, Because when you think about it, you don't know this, but like the death of Rhaenyra, there's 6 months between the death of Rhaenyra and the death of Aegon in the war.
Right, he survives a little longer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a lot longer, like 6 months. Like the war is only a year, So, he survives way longer, and like Rhaenyra, like the God's Eye to Rhaenyra's death is months, because Rhaenyra has a flight, and then makes it to Dragonstone. So there's a bit of time as well between one and the other. Now I know they're gonna try to compress that together because it's just like, what kind of show would there be without Rhaenyra? Like, the show's over at that point. She's the main character, so you're gonna wrap everything up quick. But
I keep forgetting that Hour of the Wolf happens like almost immediately right after Aegon dies.
Yeah,
but it takes Cregan so fucking long to actually do anything. He literally just shows up when everything is said and done. So whatever. I can see Cregan showing up maybe like second to last episode of season 4, and then I don't know, like
rolls in there with Jane Eyre and
right. I'm wondering if they're gonna somehow set up future storylines for Blackfire something, because we see the Black Dragon banner at the end of the credits.
No,
not the credits.
They're not doing it. They're not doing that. It's way too far.
They have to be setting something up. I don't know.
No, it's just a coincidence. They just inverted the colors. That's it. They did not. It's not Blackfire. Really? Yeah, no, they just inverted they're not. No.
I find it hard to believe that we're not getting Blackfire spinoff or anything related to that.
Dude, the Herald in season 1 has the inverted Blackfire colors.
And it's also on the on episode 1, the announcer for the tourney, he has
That's what
the
I said.
black
Yeah, yeah, the herald.
colors
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well. Yeah,
yeah.
it can't be a coincidence. It has to be on purpose. No way they're that dumb.
No, they are. Like it's that's what it is. It's fine. They're thinking about it in the same way as the away jerseys for a basketball team. You've just How am I doing, Carmine? Am I not moving?
Oh, you're fine now. You're
Okay. Okay. Um so Orman's a crazy he's a crazy kook. They didn't give any time to Daron. And I love how like John Roxton is just like he's the most ever present non-character that you can have in a show.
I hate
Straight
his
back.
stupid haircut. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
The fucking bowl cut.
I mean hey, he sticks out. He sticks out. Um and that's about it. No Bela, very little Corlys. Trying to think. Oh yeah, Helena's pregnant. Forgot to talk about that.
So, in my tease on social media that I put out, I fully expect people to be saying Ryan Condal hates George or disrespects George, because this is something George was complaining about, right? For
Mm-hmm.
toxic butterflies, and we all expected to like not ever see Maelor, but I guess Maelor is coming. My prediction here, it puts Rhaenyra in a weird situation. She tried to give Daron and Alicent and the Greens some grace by sending Daron off to the wall. Turns out that's not Daron. Damon's whole shtick is kill Daron. So maybe Rhaenyra's predicament this season is going to be, once baby Maelor is born, have him sent away and have him killed. She can't suffer another person challenging her rule. So
We'll
maybe
see. I
that's
mean,
how
or
they
again,
do it.
he's just gonna get torn apart as somebody's trying to during something or other. Um, it's easier to have like a bundled baby that you can't see torn apart versus like a
Mm-hmm.
child, um, like an infant. But timeline wise, she's got to birth that thing. Not much time
Which
here.
we saw in the trailer would happen. You know what I think is probably going to go down? They're probably going to, maybe Rhaenyra makes the move to try to have the baby killed, and they do a baby swap, or possibly Alicent has the baby snuck out, and while it's on its way out, maybe it dies. I don't know. Big thing. Who knows? One thing I do know is, do the small folk love Helena? Because isn't that one of the reasons why they riot when she eventually dies?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of many, but um, yeah, I mean, there's.
Do the small folk care about Helena? Is there, like, we never really see her do much to where the small folk would be like, "Yay,
I mean, you
Helena!"
think of the shepherd; they've already established that they're really pushing it, with I mean that entire conversation between Orwell and Rhaenyra about what to do about the High Septon kind of situation, so they're really pushing that she's going to screw up with the faith. Um, yeah, I mean, mainly it's just lack of food. I think.
Yes, I am correct. Says right here, that same night, King's Landing rose in a riot with men and women of the common folk shouting for justice for the beloved Helena and her dead sons.
Good times. Good times. And the shepherd comes out. So, I mean, that's going to be the big CGI thing, right? Is the dragon pit, but um, we'll see. I mean, that's enough to end the season on. Is the dragon pit and Rhaenyra escaping fleeing death of Joffrey and stuff like that. Man, it would have been fitting to actually have each season end with Luke, Jace, Joffrey. Um, they haven't given Joffrey very much screen time at all because he's I guess he's
I thought we would see him this episode, but he needs to start showing up. Like we need to be reminded that she has other sons, right?
yeah, that's the thing. Um, so yeah, that parallel structure has been destroyed. You know, like Luke, Jace, Joffrey, like each season having one of her sons die, and you know would have been the way to go, but they had to have Jace die early and then restart the season. We all know that that episode 3 feels like the beginning of the season. Completely different feel this season. So, oh well, oh well. Daron. So what was kind of interesting about the Daron thing, the little test for Daron at the end, is I was almost like, you know, he comes in and he's like, oh, you're supposed to kill this guy. And I'm almost was like, well, is the test that you're supposed to like reject that and be like, no, justice and mercy. Ah, you've shown yourself to be a true king. But no, it really was like, you're supposed to kill this dude. You know? So there was no real test. I mean, the test was to be an evil fucker, who listens to his adoptive father, to kill Hugh the Hammer's brother-in-law. Is that it? Yeah, that's all I can, because I don't know Hugh the Hammer's wife's name, and I don't know her brother's name certainly. So I'm just gonna call him Hugh the Hammer's brother-in-law. But yeah, but I mean, it was fine. It was fine, but it is just so much lower stakes than everything that's been going on. You know, these massive dragon battles and such. You know, when you start thinking about like the spectacle that you know, Jace death, like the gullet was and stuff like that, and can compare it to this. You know,
I'm not gonna lie, brother. I kind of got a little excited when Kristen Cole said, "We have no fear of dragons. We should fight man to man." I kind of got a little excited for that because I think the dragon fights are kind of boring after 2 minutes. I love the like actual armies coming together and clashing. That stuff is more exciting for me. I love that. So when Kristen Cole said he was gonna like start some guerrilla warfare, I was like, oh, finally, you know, we get to see some actual man-to-man fighting instead of dragons burning everybody and being overpowered. That stuff gets a little tiring after a while. And I know you agree with me on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, which is why like I praised the canyon scene of the gullet so much, because I was like, oh, this is something different. You know, like that, I liked that so much just because it was different. We hadn't ever seen anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, could have just been shaky cam, fire, CGI dragon, boom. But it's like this was 2 ships going through shallow water.
You're gonna get on my case for this, but I do think it's a nice subtle nod to Night of the Seven Kingdoms, where people are just in that show are sick of the Targaryens and their bullshit. I love how people being sick of the Targaryens has almost kind of always been there, kinda, with Ormond saying the Targaryens are a savage race. He has such vitriol for these people. And I hope they go into more detail about the people really fucking hating the Targaryens, like more noble lords just really not liking them and just keeping it quiet the entire time.
I mean, I probably think that they weren't thinking of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but I do like
probably
it.
Not, but
you know what's interesting is I almost feel like this show is going into the religion of the Faith of the Seven more than even the source material or Game of Thrones did, which I like. I mean, I think it's realistic that you know, that it's not that there hasn't been random messages here and there. Obviously, the shepherd exists, but like you don't know if the shepherd is a fluke. But here it's like, no, it's really in the doctrine of the Faith of the Seven, like that these are demons, and that what is the Faith of the Seven about? You know, and you know, you get the High Towers in practice of like, no, this is really what the Faith of the Seven is about. in practice. And because, as I say, like, it's surprising how little we actually learn about the Faith of the Seven in A Song of Ice and Fire, considering it's their fucking major religion that's supposed to be the equivalent of Catholicism. And it's like, and if you were to do a show on the Middle Ages that didn't mention, Christianity and the importance of Christianity and like what it meant to the average person and how it directed armies and their wars, like it would be laughable. Like of course, like Catholicism, Christianity is like a massive part of like the Middle Ages. And it's just this very minor thing. I mean, yeah, I understand that the High Sparrow comes about, but like the High Sparrow is an extremist movement. It's not even the Faith of the Seven itself. Like it's not the regular religion. We get our hints from Catalan, and a few prayers here and there, but considering like how dedicated people were to Catholicism and Christianity and how it was so central to everything they did, it's a relatively minor part of the story. And so I think it's interesting seeing House Hightower being all in on that shit.
We touched on it briefly, but last episode when Rhaenyra talks to the High Septon or whichever
Yeah.
Septon that was, and he like rejects her, and they're like, the dragons do not create. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
I want more of that.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we do see more of that.
I agree with you. Yeah, the High Septon, technically, I think they did name him in the cast list, but obviously High Septons in Ice and Fire don't have names. Hi Preston, huge fan of your live stream and the fanfic. Quick question on a ghost epilogue planned. Does Jon return to human form in A Dance with Dragons? Huge conflict potential with Dany over R plus L equals J. Can't wait to read A Dream of Spring in 2036. I don't think I'm going to have Jon return to his body like everybody kind of believes will happen in the book, or what sort of happened in the show. He never went to Ghost in the show, but he just kind of resurrected. But the fan canon, the fan head canon is that Jon is going to be in Ghost for a while and then come back into Jon's body. This is based on the idea that first Jon is going to go to Ghost based on the idea that you had a whole prologue on Second Life and stuff like that with Varamir, that where you're establishing it. And then, Jon calls out Ghost's name, and then you kind of just get this idea that he's going to go into Ghost. And then Melisandre had a vision where she sees a man and then a wolf and then a man again. And so some people think that's supposed to be Jon. And so being a man and a wolf and then a man again. And so people think that, Jon's soul is going to be briefly in Ghost and then back into the body again. And I just, I don't know. I don't see it that being that interesting. I think there's just too many characters. Got to start, paring things down. And so I don't know. I don't think I'm going to put Jon back into his body. I think I'm going to keep him as Ghost in the fanfic. Not to spoil everything, but that's that's where I see things going. I think it's more interesting, him as Ghost anyway, and him living a second life that way. Yeah. Carmine has no opinion on Jon coming back or not. Would you want Jon to come back? Do you care one way or the other? Whatever's good writing.
On one hand, like, Jon is a good. I know there's no other way to say this. On one hand, Jon is a good vehicle to like show whatever other character's up to, because he's so boring. But I'm not a Jon fan. I'm just there to see like what Jon is seeing. So I would like that. But on the other hand, I'm also curious to see what you can do with this.
Yeah.
If you have a crazy good idea, then I'm excited for what that is. Because so far, your plans for a lot of the characters haven't missed. I do disagree with you on one character, maybe two. Actually, no. 2 characters, maybe 3, but for the most part, I mean, your Davos. I know what you're doing with Davos. That's pretty great. Tyrion, your plan for Tyrion. That's fucking crazy. Like Asha's been good. Like
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is that in the North we have so many points of view. Because when you start thinking, we've got Bran, Jon, Melisandre, Davos, Theon, Asha. So you kind of have the basis covered. What's funny is that all those point of views, we have nobody in Winterfell, and that's where we really need a point of view. But it's not that I don't think there's many places that there's action that I won't have covered with eyes, with the exception of like inside Winterfell, which is a problem. But you plop Davos at Eastwatch, Melisandre's at Castle Black, Bran is north and heading south, Theon and Asha are around. So I think enough of the story can be told through other people's eyes is the hope. And so I don't necessarily think we need Jon. Jon is it's just also like how many chapters do you want to dedicate to Jon? It's a lot when there's a lot of story to get through. But yeah. Hopefully I'll get back to, been really busy. Obviously I moved from the Dominican Republic back to America, started work again, and week from tomorrow I'm supposed to be welcoming in a new person. So it's a lot. So hopefully I'm trying to get some writing done and get another fanfic chapter out sometime soon. But sorry it's taking so long. The fucking House of the Dragon hitting at this time. It's just a lot. Is Aegon II the biggest underdog in the history of A Song of Ice and Fire? His mother, brother, dozen plus dragons, and most of Westeros are against him. He's a big underdog, but he doesn't win. He doesn't win. Nothing goes well for him. You got to claim that Corlys is a bit of an underdog. He's been through a lot, and survives in the end. I'm trying to think of anybody else. Like Dunk, Egg, they go through a lot. Dany goes through a fuckload. I'm trying to think of like other characters who go through a lot and succeed. The problem is Aegon goes through a lot and then it just fucking dies. So it's sad. It's like a Cabo Verde thing where, you're doing your best. You think maybe there's hope. No, you're dead. You're dead fucking too. Oh, well. But they're in a soap opera sense, they're trying to repair Aegon. Cause he is a horrible guy. He's a horrible guy. He's a rapist. And then, they're trying to make him, they're trying to, make him, I guess, less of a bad guy. So that you have some sort of connection with him, so, but we'll see how it goes. He's getting his comeuppance here. But it's hard. It's hard for me, like, even at this point in season 3, it's hard for me to forgive Aegon the fact that he would go and see child fights and is a rapist. And it's hard for me to side with him. And it's hard for me to side with Rhaenyra, considering she murdered a guy for that body swap with Laenor. How do you get over that? Like, and tried to convince Alicent to like murder her son. It's just, they both have done some dark stuff. And so it's hard. And don't get me started on Daemon. Daemon's, as much as people, like love him because he's Matt Smith, Like when you go on paper and see what he's done, he is a horrible, horrible, horrible human being. I mean, he murdered his wife, you know. He false surrendered and then didn't. There's a lot of bad shit. A lot of bad shit. But yeah, he's I think on the second. I mean, according to this, he's going through a lot. It is true that secretly escaping King's Landing and then finding his damaged dragon and then coming back, and then retaking the throne after the domination that Rhaenyra had. I mean, it's more that it's Rhaenyra's war to lose, right? Like, she dominated. There's no reason that she should have lost. None. And then it's just like a lot of bad luck and a lot of conspiracies and a lot of her own madness all happening at once to destroy her within 6 months. Rhaenyra only reigns 6 months. So it's a really fast downfall for someone that had dominated with all of these dragons and everything. So it's really just how fast can she fall? House of the Dragon portrayed green men as satyrs. Wouldn't they make more sense as insect sand kings? Their antennae misinterpreted as antlers. I mean, that would make sense to me. The best idea that I've heard on who the green men are is that they have attached fixed weirwood branches to their heads in order to try to connect with the weirwoods telepathically, much in a Song for Leah kind of sense. So in a Song for Leah, and the weirwoods are largely based on the Song for Leah dynamic, which is mostly just it's a stand-in for heaven. There's a famous thought experiment which is very simple, and that is, if there were a box that you could crawl into, and once you crawled into it, you were immortal, but you would be happy for eternity, would you crawl into that box? And, you know, most people are like, there's something creepy about that, or I seek truth. Why would I don't necessarily seek happiness. I seek authenticity and things like that. But of course the box is simply heaven. So why are you trying to get into heaven when, like, you know, it's this inauthentic experience or whatever? And so A Song for Leah is essentially the extension of that thought experiment, where the main character, he's a telepath who is in love with his partner, who's also a telepath, and their love is even stronger than the kind of love that we have, because they can actually read each other's thoughts and know each other. There's no hiding who you are, as all of us hide who we are to other people. And so their love is at this pinnacle because there's no hiding. They truly love each other because they're telepaths and know each other inside and out. And they land on this planet where there's this big blob underground where that can accept your consciousness. And so at first, you know, preparing for the bonding with it, people take a slab of the jelly and they put it on their head, and they're kind of connected to the Shkeen, and then they eventually go into the Shkeen and they live for eternity, happy with billions of other people all together. And because they're telepaths, the guy's girlfriend, Lyanna, it's Rob and Lyanna are the telepaths. Lyanna gets a sense when she telepathically links with one of these guys, and so she understands how happy he is and how much she instantly falls in love with this guy, and even though it's this weird pathetic dude. And then she joins the Shkeen and she leaves Rob, and she comes to him telepathically, and she's like, come join us, you know, we can be happy forever, for eternity. I'm in love with a billion people. It's a happiness you'll never understand. And Rob decides, fuck it, no, I choose to die alone. And so he like leaves planet, fucks some other woman on a spaceship. Um, so but like once the person that put forward the idea that they were werewood branches, they hadn't even read Song for Leah, but once I heard it, I was like, oh, that sounds exactly like Song for Leah. So I was like, that's a pretty fucking cool idea that the green men are just human beings that have stapled whatever werewood branches in order to try to simulate that. Because the werewoods are essentially the Grishka, and this big blob of jelly in the story, and so they join the werewood and with all the other children and their souls, and they're happy forever and all of that. And so this would be the transition period, right? Just like in the story. And so it fit that these antlered guys are just and it's also just like a lot of George R. Martin's stories about legends are like this. But yeah, I mean, it's not that I so I agree with you, like that this connection, like in Sand Kings, those antennae are for telepathic connections, that it's providing the same function. It's just that they're werewood stuff, right? Because in Sand Kings, they're using telepathic links to the maw and everything. And so, I mean, it's all the same story, right? Sand Kings, you've got the big telepathic center, and then all the little guys that are connected, and the Shkeen, the Grishka, and the Shkeen that have the blobs on them or whatever. You could do the same thing, with the Children of the Forest and the Green Men are just the same idea. They're just connected to the, maybe these are for people. It's like the question is why. I guess maybe for people that aren't as telepathically gifted as Bran or something, that want to connect with the werewood, is you staple these werewood branches to your head or something. But I think that's a pretty cool idea. The satyr thing, it just doesn't go anywhere. Like, okay, they're satyrs. Like, so what? Like, what does this add? Why have we created them? But what did the Helena scene? Did I miss something, or did they set up a shock that I had no idea it was pan away? Oh, Helena is pregnant. She essentially, like, there's a scene where Alicent is noticing that Helena's boobs are rather large. She's just like, she's looking at her boobs, and she's like, Helena, and then she gets this like weird guilty look on her face. And so the idea is that, she's pregnant with another, likely with Maelor. Some people are like, oh, what if it's not Aegon's? Maybe it's Aemon's and all that. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's probably Aegon's timeline wise. It's fine. He could have had sex with her. It's only been maybe a month since Rook's Rest or whatever. So he could easily have, even if she's 3 months pregnant, 4 months pregnant, he could have easily had sex with her and then gone off, and she's pregnant with the child. But we all know what happens to Maelor, so it doesn't really matter. But this is sort of like Cersei's pregnancy at the end of Game of Thrones. It didn't do anything, right? Wasn't there even a leak that they thought that they were going to do a miscarriage scene? They didn't do it,
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking about too. Like, nothing ever came of that.
Nothing ever came of it. No.
And we don't even know if it was Jaime's. Could have been Euron's, I guess. I don't.
Right. That would have made things interesting. It was just there to give Cersei a little less of a suicidal tendency, that she would have some sort of hope because she actually maybe had a child coming. Her likely Down syndrome child.
What?
How old was Cersei?
Probably late 30s.
No, I mean, if she's supposed to be late 30s, but how old was Lena Headey?
I don't know. Probably 40s.
trying to think. Lena Headey she's currently 52. Has it been 10 years since the end of?
It's like 7 years.
Been 7 years. So she was 45. Yeah, it's a pretty high risk pregnancy at that point. A very high risk pregnancy. I mean, anything over 35, they call geriatric pregnancy. Yeah, it's really weird because like so many women have kids after 35, but it's like all of their paperwork is like stamped like geriatric pregnancy. You're like, oh, because the risk of Downs increases massively. This is why, the Secretary of Transportation, that Sean Duffy guy. So he has like 9 kids. And the last one has Downs because they just kept having kids into her mid 40s.
Is that how that works?
Yeah. The last one. The girl from Real World 3 and he's from Real World 5 or 6 or something. But yeah, they just kept having
I honestly thought it was because of a man. Like if the man is older.
No. The John Aaron thing is not really a thing. No. So there's a reason, and that is like, look, women's eggs, the ones that are released are randomized. Okay. While men's sperm, the bad defective ones don't win the race. So say you're in a situation where like when you're young, 100% of your, 99% of your eggs are good. 99% of your sperm is good. Now you get older. You're in your 40s and now 50% of your eggs are good. And say you're a man and 50% of your sperm is good. That doesn't matter because the 50% that wins the race is the good sperm. Like cutting your sperm count in half is not much. Like who cares? Cutting the number of like viable good eggs for a woman is extreme, right? So this is why men can have children into their 90s, completely healthy children, while women become higher risk after 35. Yeah, but that's just the world, Sex ed for Carmine. Not that Carmine never wants to have kids, so it doesn't matter. So he's just like,
thank you for throwing that out there.
Yeah, but this is this is just the facts of life. If you're an old guy, you can have kids. If you're an old woman, you cannot. But this is the John Aaron thing is stupid. That's why like the seed is strong. Like, oh, it was the guy like old men's sperm. It's not that old men's sperm is fine if you took a random one, but like I say, like even if 90% of your sperm is defective, it doesn't matter because the 10% that wins the race is fine. Like that's just so yeah. Good evening. A line in the episode got me thinking. Are Dany's dragons special? How did Drogon grow large enough to be ridden in less than 2 years? Because the 5-year cap was abandoned. That's essentially the reason. George didn't plan for the dragons to grow so fast. He knew that when he originally planned A Song of Ice and Fire, the 3 books, he thought that the story would be advancing years and years and years, and the characters would grow up, and we'd be dealing with it would be a multi-generational story. Remember that like a prime part of the original story was a love triangle between Arya, Jon, and Tyrion. And Arya starts the story at 9, right? So, even to get to the point where this is something that's okay in the story. You need Arya to get to whatever 15 years old, right? Or whatever George is comfortable doing with these characters. And even then, it's a little gross. So, I mean, a lot gross. So you're trying to get to her, you'd want Arya to get to at least 18 or something for there to be a proper love triangle between Tyrion, Jon, and and Arya. So, George was looking for at least like 9 years to pass in these stories, because she was talking about like Sansa getting pregnant and having children and stuff like that. And remember, she hasn't even had her moon blood in the first book and stuff like that. So he was looking for many, many years to pass in the story. And then as he started writing, it didn't work out. A Game of Thrones takes place over the course of about a year. A Clash of Kings takes place over the course of about 6 months. A Storm of Swords takes place over the course of about 4 months. A Dance with Dragons, A Feast for Crows takes place over the course of about 6 months. Like it's the story just was really short. So at the end of A Storm of Swords, George had the idea that he was going to have a 5-year gap to try to grow the children up, grow the dragons up. And this is why for most of the characters at the end of A Storm of Swords, they're in a good resting position. Jon can be Lord Commander for 5 years. Arya can be in training at the House of Black and White for 5 years. Dany can rule Meereen for 5 years. Cersei can be ruling as Queen Regent for 5 years. And then in the end, specifically because of Dorne, George realized that the 5-year gap was just not going to work, because it didn't make sense for Dorne to do nothing for 5 years after the death of Oberyn. So he scrapped it, and all the characters are stuck young, and the dragons are growing really, really fast. So that's the real reason. Now, does George have like a retroactive reason on why the dragons can grow large enough to be ridden in less than 2 years? I mean, you could just say that like the dragons grow to adult size like very quickly or something. But the problem is, you're right that he went and established that Joffrey and Luke and their dragons are small. So maybe their dragons are only small because the stunting, like the conspiracy to kill them is taking effect, and that they're never going to grow big, and that everybody looks up to them and they're like, oh, well, they're young dragons. And in fact, they're actually stunted dragons. Like that could be the excuse, that in fact, dragons can grow really, really fast, but Joffrey, Luke, and Jace's dragons are actually stunted, and Tessarion is stunted because the dragons just keep getting smaller over time. I mean, Vhagar is pretty old, and he never got to Balerion the Black Dread size. So I think maybe it's just that if you're going to come up with a retroactive reason, it's the dragons of the first 130 years of Targaryen history are on a poison cycle, becoming more and more stunted. And Dany's dragons are free of that completely. And that it's completely natural for a dragon to grow to rideable size in less than 2 years. I mean, it's pretty much 1 year, right? The dragons are born 1.5. Dragons are born at the end of 299. 6 months in Karth, and then Dany's story and A Storm of Swords is on a different timeline as everybody else. You've got to like remember that even though Dany's chapters are interspersed, like Dany's story takes place over the course of like 3 weeks, and then uh, Dance with Dragons, I don't know, it tries to match it up, but yeah, that's the retroactive reason, is that, you know, they're not stunted, they're not getting poisoned, and therefore dragons just, they grow to adult size and like really fast. Aegon goes from ruling to living like the small folk. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the thing. They're trying to humble him, but the thing about Aegon is, it's not that Aegon was ever sheltered. Um, you know, he's running around hanging with the small folk, going to fighting pits and going to sex worker stuff. He does see how the shitty people live, because he's out partying. So it's a little, it's, you know, obviously he never cleaned a latrine or anything like that, but he certainly knows that the small folk have a shitty life. Like, he would see children at fighting pits, you know, like he would spend time with sex workers. So he wasn't insulated from it. But yeah, they're trying to humble him. They're trying to make us like him. The Rhaena Nettles conflict feels kind of forced now. It does. I just, they haven't put enough time into Rhaena for me to care about her. Does anyone care? Carmine, how do you feel about Rhaena? Do you like her? Carmine, he's off. He's doing his laundry. But yeah, it seems a bit forced. I mean, I suppose you could go back and say that there's a couple scenes back in you know, in the first season about her, but it's just not enough. It's not enough. We really needed to spend, we need, you know, considering how much we were just beaten to death with the Alan Corlys relationship, and now it's like, okay, we got through all of that, and now I understand the Alan Corlys relationship. It's been fully explained, but that was like so many scenes. It was half dozen scenes dedicated to that. We didn't get any of that with Rhaena. So how am I supposed to care about Rhaena? Yeah. Bold plan as showrunner. Have Gawain be Otto's squire from season 1, then have Otto escape to do the Ormond stuff. So we have a show long villain with a sidekick. Yeah, I mean, that definitely would have been something that was a little better than introducing all of these new characters constantly. I do think that there's too many characters, and they could have combined a lot of characters. And I agree that had it been Ormond, I mean, I'm sorry, had it been Otto, like, who do you think is gonna? So okay, they're not to be too spoilery, but there's a sacrifice. There's a character who has to. There's a green character who has to sacrifice himself at Tumbleton, and it's a big noble sacrifice for their cause. And in the source material, it's a nobody, and it's like, who are they gonna have do that role? They're probably gonna give it to John Roxton, and we don't fucking care about John Roxton. By the way, if for all of you, if you want to know who John Roxton is, he's the one with the weird bowl cut and the beard, who says nothing, who's in every Ormond Hightower scene. But yeah,
he's Brasso from Andor. That's who he is.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's where he is. Okay, yeah. I bet when that sacrifice scene comes, they're going to give it to John Roxton.
But then how does Ormond go out, do you think? Because they, in episode 1, they foreshadowed Daeron's demise.
Yeah.
That you see him through the tent.
Wait, say that again?
Daeron dies in the book with like supposedly flaming debris falls on top of his tent and crushes him.
Mm-hmm.
In his season 1 opening, you can see Daron is introduced when he's inside the tent, and Ormond leaves the tent, and Daron is in there in the darkness. So I guess you could argue that's a bit of foreshadowing, maybe. But if
Mm-hmm.
they kill Daron the same way they do in the books, that'll be so fucking lame. Like
Yeah, I
falling
feel like
debris,
you
the tent.
wanna do
Come on.
something a little more interesting. You think they're gonna give the sacrifice to Ormond?
I don't know. Like that would also be kind of lame. I don't know. Like I'm expecting Ormond to go out in a different way. Tumbleton is just a clusterfuck. I went back and looked through it. Holy shit, it's just a goddamn clusterfuck. Before you continue on, Trey has a comment in the stream chat. Can't call in tonight, but I just wanted to say I finally read Windhaven, and I can report that it's very competent, but incredibly mid George R. R. Martin story.
Don't tell Bookborn. That's her favorite story.
Really?
Yeah, Bookborn is it's definitely her favorite. Yeah.
Hmm.
But you got to remember that Bookborn very much likes I guess what we commonly call chick lit. Like, you know, she definitely likes the strong female character overcoming obstacle kind of plot lines. She also enjoys stuff that's a little more hopeful, and Windhaven is the most hopeful thing that George R. R. Martin has ever written, because he co-wrote it, you know, with Lisa Tuttle. So, but yeah, and I mean, it's Windhaven. You know, it's like I say, it's competent. It's
Trey says here it doesn't have that George edge.
It doesn't have that George edge. Like, you get a little taste of, like, the ending is very reminiscent of the ending of the, like, the epilogue of Fever Dream, where you like fast forward so that you can have all the characters die, and then you can feel sad about the characters dying. But we all die. I mean, so you can do this with any story. Is you could fast forward to when the characters die and then feel sad. I mean, you could do that with I'm just going to pick a random, like, you could do that with the Princess Diaries. You know, you could be like, oh, yay, hooray. And then fast forward to Anne Hathaway dying on her deathbed, and then you'd feel sad. like it doesn't, this is kind of Windhaven. Like, it's like, you know, it's a happy ending, and then they fast forward to see how the characters die, and then you feel sad. But that's a bit George, but it's such a hopeful, you know, such a hopeful movie thing. But there's no, you know, it doesn't have that edge. It doesn't have incest and betrayal and gruesome deaths and cynicism and darkness and horrible irony, and that it's none of that. It's just it's a very, very, you know, nice, hopeful tale. So yeah, Carmine, you think, I'm trying to think, like, I think it's got to be John. I don't know. Ormond seems like too much of a dick and too much of a hypocrite to do the sacrifice, which is why I think they're just going to give it to John Roxton. Unless they're going to introduce more.
I also can't see Hugh Hammer having well, remember, Hugh Hammer is supposed to have some delusions of grandeur here about his role.
Yeah,
and I can't see this Hugh Hammer being that person.
See, I've almost think that they're gonna do the bait and switch, because they've set up so many reasons why Ulf the White will turn. Everybody's treating Ulf the White like shit, and Hugh Hammer is just normal and seems steadfast, right? And I feel like it's going to be the reverse, that all of a sudden Hugh Hammer is going to be the one that's like leading the switch, and that Ulf the White is going to be reluctant but forced into it by Hugh. Like, that's what I feel like is going to happen. Like, it'd just be a little too expected if Ulf was the one that was like, I'm done with this shit, and then Hugh the Hammer goes along with it or whatever. but maybe I'm wrong. But they did establish, like, in Hugh's first, one of his early scenes with his wife, that he wanted to give her a castle. He wanted to make her a lady, and she's like, I don't want to be a lady. I don't want to be a widow. Like, I don't need that shit. But I think he's still gonna go for it. Like, I need you to be a lady. So he wants that castle. You know. That's my guess. That's my guess on it. That Hugh is going to be the main instigator, and Ulf is going to be the follower, rather than Ulf being the instigator. You know.
I honestly can't tell you. I can't even message it to you privately. I don't know. They only gave us the first 4. Yeah. I don't know what the schedule is going to be for the next few. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. I'll let you know. But I don't know what they're going to do. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine Hugh. Maybe they'll get manipulated. Maybe Ormond will have like some secret correspondence with them, and
yeah, at first, because they made this thing like maybe he's going to try to win. Somebody had mentioned that maybe he's going to try to win them over, and I was like, for a second, I was like, oh, are they going to win over Hugh's wife by doing that justice thing? But then they kill her brother, so apparently not. Rhaena sees random small folk and be like, my name I sees fisherman net sees Ulf, Ulls, Nettles. My name is Nettles. Oh, you think they're? I wonder if they're. So here's the. Here's the thing. I'm thinking about the whole life of Nettles and then the whole life of Rhaena. He asks Daemon asks Rhaena to like abandon the dragon, and she's like, I can't do that. We're connected now. Which is funny considering that like we were just complaining about Helena being able to leave and feeling nothing, or Laenor leaving and feeling nothing. Like Laenor and Helena can leave their dragons and no one gives a fuck. But God forbid Rhaena, who has been with her dragon for a week, is like I need to stay with it. Or is her excuse like I've always been a nothing and now I'm a something? It's like it doesn't really meld because it's like you're still a nothing. All you did was fucking kill Jace, lead to Jace's death. You're a big fucking mistake. But I guess they're probably going to give her the Nettles ending of going back to the Vale and like just living there in the Vale with her dragon, like Nettles, because that's the Nettles ending, right? Or they say like, oh, she disappeared, no one knows where she went. But there are these people in the Vale. There are these mountain clans that like worshipped this woman with a dragon. And so some people think it might be Nettles. And you're like, oh, really? Who else would it be? I think Rhaena gets married to some Hightower, I think, in the end, right?
Which specifically?
I'm trying to think here. Yeah. In the end, they make her marry Garmund Hightower in the source material. And they have 6 daughters. I can't see them doing that with Rhaena. We haven't met any Hightowers. She's talking about how she needs to be a dragon rider and all that shit. I think they're gonna give her the Nettles ending of I gotta hang out in the Vale, kind of thing. Make Adam Hand. He thought of the cats. Ulf rocks. I guess Alan. I know it's easy to confuse them considering they have mixed up their stories a bit, but yeah, right. it was Alan that came up with the cats. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess he is Hand because he's sitting there acting in Corliss's place. So I guess Alan Oakenfist has become um, Hand, father's Hand. At this rate, though, mother and father might meet. Mother and you think it's going to happen? Carmine, mother and father in a scene
I
together.
hope so. Our friend Amber from the Road to Tarvalon YouTube channel, she had a chance to interview Abu Bakr Salim, and I think she did ask him that. So I'll have to ask her if she got a reply. I haven't checked back in with her yet in that regard, but I hope so. That would be a nice little reunion. The only thing I do know that he has said about Raised by Wolves is that he wished that it got another season, at least one more, and that's all I know. But doesn't everyone wish that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Such a
just saying,
if you haven't seen, by the way, if there's one recommendation Preston and I give you to the
yeah,
audience, please watch Raised by Wolves or Mrs. Davis. Mrs. Davis, I recommended to someone recently.
yeah.
They loved it. Like, you guys need to get
Mrs.
on Mrs.
Davis is more
Davis if you've never seen
satisfying
it.
because it's a contained story, while Raised by Wolves, it
Right.
ends with the cancellation. But um,
Hmm.
Raised by Wolves is just like, if you're looking for something very different and shocking that you haven't seen in something, it's got elements of Ridley Scott, obviously, but imaginative and crazy. But yeah, Mrs. Davis is, yeah, that's just one of these. That's a show that's just really, really good, really, really good and solid, and it's one story, Um, but yeah, there's a good chance. I mean, Jane comes to King's Landing for Hour of the Wolf, so we're on the Regency, so she's got a chance to meet. She's got a chance to meet Oakenfist.
Hmm.
Do you think the High Septon and the Shepherd are merged?
No, no shot. We know who the shepherd is. It's the guy that got his arm chopped off last season during the riots with Alicent.
Yeah,
We know
maybe.
who
I
he is.
mean, yeah,
Maybe
but
they literally set him up.
I got it. But there's still, they could have seeded something and gone with it. But I mean, certainly they're merging the stories. They're certainly merging the thematically where this is going, giving the shepherd more of a motivation for what he's going to do, so it doesn't come out of nowhere. Because it does in Princess and the Queen, Fire and Blood, it does really come out of nowhere, right? Like all of a sudden the
Hmm.
shepherd is like, and these dragons are demons. Well, what? Where did this come from? Dragons being demons. Um, it's never mentioned, considering that like it's narrated. The story is narrated by very much by Septon Eustace. Like this religious idea of like the dragons being demons is not introduced by him. Um, so it's really the shepherd is kind of out of nowhere. So good on the show. Good on the show for trying to establish something building up to the shepherd, because the shepherd just fucking happens
Hmm.
in the source material. So good on them.
You mean Ryan Condal did something right?
There's a lot of
Whew.
things that Ryan Condal does right, and where Ryan Condal is trying to
I
fix
know,
shit,
I know,
but it's like he's
I
kind of
know.
like he's I would say he's a drunk fireman. It's like he's going around knocking shit over. He's trying to put out fires, but at the same time he's like just knocking shit over, starting more fires here
You
and
say
there.
drunk fireman?
Yeah, a drunk fireman or something. I don't know if a drunk fireman would start fires, so I don't know. Maybe, but he does start a lot of fires. The one, then he tries to put out other ones. So,
Mm-mm. Drunk fireman? What?
Damon's saying my sons instead of your brothers. When did he say this? Trying to.
During his conversation with Rhaena. My son's in Pentos. So they're in Pentos, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean it's true. They are her brothers or her half brothers. Yeah, that's funny. I mean that he doesn't even think of her as part of the family. So it's like my sons. You're supposed to be with my sons in Pentos.
That's a good catch, by the way, from Leonis here. Very good
Yeah,
catch.
I'm going to mention that probably. But,
In your review.
yeah. So Rhaena is the founder of the Burned Men. Yeah, I think that's where they're going with it. Giving her more connection to the Vale, living in the Vale here. That's absolutely where I'm seeing it going. The fandom assumes Aegon the Sixth and a Martell. Why would Dorne marry to ally? His cause is revenge for Elia. If Dorne believes he isn't Aegon, union makes sense. You have a blood ally, get another through via union. Oh, sorry. Fandom assumes Aegon the Sixth and Ariana Martell. Why would Dorne marry to ally? His cause is revenge for Elia. If Dorne believes he isn't Aegon, union makes sense. If you have a blood ally, get another via union. Oh, I see what you're saying. So they're saying that like, you're saying that Doran Martell should want to ally with Aegon the Sixth anyway, as part of a vengeance scheme. Why would he need to? Why would he have any sort of marriage kind of situation here? I mean, I think the answer here is that Ariane Martell is going to be acting independent of Doran. Like, Dorne is not a cohesive, rational actor in and of itself. If it were, we wouldn't have had the Kingmaker, the Queenmaker fiasco, and all these sorts of things. Quentin as well is acting independent. Like, he's an independent person. Ariane Martell is an independent person. They're doing shit on their own. She doesn't necessarily know what her father is up to. She's acting in a way that she thinks is going to benefit her, not necessarily Dorne. I don't think Ariane Martell necessarily cares about Dorne. I think she cares about herself. I don't think Quentin Martell necessarily cares about Dorne. I think he cares about himself. I think that's the problem, is that these people are not really thinking about the masses and the small folk. So I think if I were to really think about what George is planning with Ariane Martell, is that she is paranoid that Quentin is going to return with Dany and be king, and that there is a sibling rivalry in her mind that she has created, because Quentin doesn't give a shit about Ariane. That's what's funny, is that it's all one-sided. Ariane Martell's jealousy of Quentin is enormous. Quentin Martell doesn't ever think about Ariane, right? So, in her mind, she thinks that Quentin is returning with dragons and Dany, and that he's going to rule. And she wants to rule. She wants to be the big kahuna. So I think that's the situation that's going to cause a problem. That she wants to be queen. She doesn't want Quentin to be king. She wants to have it all. And that's, so I think that her reasoning for wanting to marry Aegon is to be queen to outdo Quentin. And this is even independent if you think Quentin is dead and he's not returning. Arianne thinks he's returning. And so she's preparing herself for this return. I mean, and we get a bit of these seeding things, her assuming that Daenerys is mad and stuff like that, and her thinking about her brother and how silly it would be for him to be king and things like that. She can't imagine this world where Quentin is king and this Daenerys woman is going to come back and rule. She wants to rule. She wants to be queen. And so she sees Aegon young Griff as that vessel. Doran's plans, well, who knows? Who knows what Doran's plans are? He had his own schemes going on. Who knows if it's Dornish master plan or something? But he generally with Doran, I don't think aligning with Targaryens period makes sense, because this is a guy who has passed Croyane. Like, he understands Dornish history. He knows that Dorne is dying. It's Rhaegar was no fucking angel for what he did to Ellie either. There's no real reason for the Dornish to support the Targaryens, especially when you start thinking about them as Rhoynar. The Targaryens were the Valyrians were the ancient enemies of the Rhoynar. So if Doran should know all of this, unless George is being sloppy, there's no reason it doesn't fit Doran's character at all based on what we know about him. For him to want to team up with Targaryens, he wants to fucking win and get his vengeance and take it all. So that's my feelings, that like Doran is not into Targaryens. He wants the Rhoynar he wants Rhoynish restoration. Arianne, she has her own schemes. She's an independent person. So. Mm-hmm. Will Maesters remember the events of 300 AC as several individual wars lasting 6 to 8 weeks, or will they call it the Long Night, Dance of Nine Kings? It's an interesting question. In Asia, World War II is called the 13-Year War. I'm trying to, because 13. I'm trying to. Let's see. In China, the war against Japan is called the 8-Year War. But I'm trying to remember, because you start thinking about like the invasion of Manchuria to the end of World War II would be like 14-year war. But they, whatever it's called, it's just this idea that like from a different scope, things are clumped together and grouped together and stuff like that. Like to a Chinese person, do they really see their civil war as being a separate thing from World War II? While to a Westerner, World War II is a distinct kind of thing from Chinese Civil War and things like that. because it's just continuous war. I mean, you've got Chinese Civil War, Japanese invasion, World War II, Chinese Civil War again. I mean, like when it's all kind of one thing. So it all depends on your scope, right? Sometimes I wonder if, like, so when you're learning like a lot of classical history, you'll learn about the Phoenicians, and sometimes history books separate out the Phoenicians and the Carthaginians, and sometimes they're just Phoenicians, which is an interesting concept because you're talking like hundreds of 800 years of separation of like Carthage from like Phoenicia. I mean, they're ethnically Phoenician, but like, is it all just Phoenicia? Because I mean, Punic, that term actually comes from Phoenician. And so I wonder, like, in the future, thousands of years, would the when will people think of the Roman Empire ending? Will they really think about it in the same way? Because imagine the European Union does really well, and eventually it's this like nation state. Would thousands of years in the future they see this as separate from the Roman Empire? Certainly with Egyptian dynasties, they don't think about this. They just lump hundreds and hundreds of years together. Or in Chinese dynasties, they just lump all of these huge periods of time together where there's all sorts of infighting and breaking apart and coming together. And they'll just be like, well, this is just all one big fucking dynasty. And you're like, okay. And it's all China. You're like, is it? Because there was a period where the state was completely destroyed and conquered by the Mongolians. And then there was another one where it was completely destroyed and conquered by the Manchurians. Like, but it's all China, like, so I understand the question. Like, you'd think in retrospect, like it would just be one big war, especially considering that the time period is so short that you wouldn't separate out War of Five Kings. War of Five Kings is the War of Five Kings even considered over at the end of A Dance with Dragons, considering that like River Run has just surrendered, but the Ironborn are still attacking. So, there's been no rest. Like the War of Five Kings isn't over. They're still battling in the north. Stannis is still a king, still attacking. So the War of the Five Kings is still going on, really. As long as Stannis is still around and Euron is still causing trouble, still seems to be a War of the Five Kings, right? But yeah. World Cup predictions. I mean, look, I'm rooting against Argentina. I want it to be France, England, but it'll probably be France, Argentina. But France is unstoppable. You just have to. I mean, you can watch.
You're rooting for Argentina? Is that what you just said?
No, I said I'm rooting for England over Argentina. It's going to be France, Spain. It's France, Spain, England against Argentina, right? So I'm rooting for England over Argentina. I'd like to see.
I'm rooting for France, Spain over France.
Fine. Spain, England would be fine with me too. I'm fine with that as well. I do not. Argentina has played so shitty, and the refs have given them so many gifts because they want to sell beer with Messi or whatever. They need to have Messi continue for their advertising revenue and all this shit. They have given so many advantages to supposedly the number 2 team against, squads of children is what I call them. Like Cabo Verde, Egypt. These are squads against children. You're playing against children, and they are nearly defeating you because you suck. And you have to dive in the box and have the refs like fucking fix the games for you. It's disgusting. And the Argentina team is pathetic. And I mean, it's 10 useless guys and Messi is what it is. Um, and so I'm ready for them to be out because I'm just so angry watching them. Well, the other teams have been pretty solid, and France just looks unstoppable. You watch France for 10 minutes, and you're like, oh, this is how soccer players play. You know, um,
Play. Did you know that there has never been a team like Argentina in World Cup history that has had their road paved for them to the semifinals by not facing a
a good
top
team.
10 team in the world?
And then
Like,
they
yeah, like a top 10
struggled.
team.
They've struggled massively against three teams. Like what were their rankings again? 60, 67, 64, 30s, and 17. What are the,
So hold on. Did you see the news of what the FIFA commissioner guy wants to do?
oh no.
He wants
No.
to put next World Cup. He wants like at least 64 teams in the entire thing. Like 64 teams? Are you fucking kidding? I
What
can't wait to see a top team like France get 20 goals a game playing against Brunei, which is ranked 194th, and watch them celebrate every time like they defeated the
Brunei?
Night King.
Yeah.
Like Brunei, sorry. Like it's like when Portugal scored against Uzbekistan and they were
Yeah.
celebrating like they just solved world hunger. Bro, it's Uzbekistan. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. Argentina when they scored against Cabo Verde. Ah! You're like, you scored. This is a team of children, okay? This is a team of children. You're playing against little kids. I know they're full grown men, but I mean, like, the skill difference should be professionals versus children here. Cabo Verde is a very small country. It's like, oh, oh God, I've just learned to hate. I, I had no hatred of Argentina before this World Cup, and now I'm just like, oh my God, it's. I want them out. I want them out so that we can have some real teams playing. Oh, oh. Rhaenyra, such bad luck. It could be a bad sitcom. It is true. There's, as I say, there are six ridiculous things that happen to Rhaenyra all at once, and that's not even counting like all of the. I don't know. I mean, there's so many like little things, but like I say, the gullet is ridiculous. The dragon pit is ridiculous. The betrayal at Tumbleton is ridiculous. Like, it's all these things that just like, oh well, we need to kill off our dragons. How are we going to kill off these dragons? What can we do? What can we do to kill off these dragons and make things really bad for Rhaenyra? And it just happens, just goes on and on and on of this bad luck. Like, oh, you got Tumbleton and you've got Rhaenyra, hating on Nettles and Daemon, and you have Rhaenyra hating on Adam of Hull, and you have the Gullet, and you have the Dragon Pit, and it's just so much happens to her at once that just it all falls apart. But like I said, like Princess and the Queen was slapped together, and George didn't put that much time into it. Aegon and many others are totally bipolar between episodes and seasons, makes you have to handwave things like child fighting pits to keep it compelling. I mean, that's all true. That's, we know, we've seen, to shock us in the past, we've seen all of these characters act unforgivably evil. Besides... trying to think of like besides Helena, who is not and Joffrey, who is not unforgivably evil at this point? Baela? I mean, she's burning people to death, but Baela? Is anybody? Carmine, is there who is there left to root for in this story who hasn't committed? Is Gawain Hightower
The children?
Was that
Gwaine, but I guess Gwaine is a nice guy. Even Allison said that like
yeah,
Gwaine considers a lot of people cruel. Joffrey,
Joffrey, the children,
Little Aegon, Viserys,
Bela,
Helena, I guess is cool.
Helena.
Helena's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like trying to think who hasn't done something completely abysmal. Adam and Alan, um, you know, but it's a bad crew. Rhaenyra, Alicent, Daemon, horrible people. Aegon, Aemond, horrible people. Even now we're establishing that Daron, not so great. Ormond, horrible. Otto, horrible. Orwyle, not great. Otto, Ironrod, all bad people. Reyna, not really a good person either. Um,
Oh,
I mean, you're carelessly riding this dragon and then it's causing a Jace to die and then wanting to keep it a big secret. It's like sorry,
hmm.
and being unable to, for selfish reasons, walk away from the dragon. If she wanted to stop, like the equivalent of like say say a kid finds a gun and then accidentally shoots somebody and then is like, but I really like this gun. And so you're like, I'm going to keep it. Like, I'm still going to walk around like wielding it like crazy. You're going to be like, no, you're not a good person. Sorry, Reyna. Sorry, Reyna. You kind of suck. You know, they all, the red dragon is dragon growth serum. That's that would work. That would work. Telepathic. I mean, Comet is a Vulcan, and it enhances the telepathic abilities of the dragon. Stimulates their pituitary gland. Something like that. That would work. Is Showdaron Nettles now having no Nazi eugenics dragon blood like the Strong Boys? What would you do with Daron's character now? No, I mean, no, I mean, Reyna seems to be Nettles, but I think he does still have this connection to his dragon. Um, I mean, he's got the show's just Daron is getting his dragon riding abilities from um, Viserys. This would go against like my Dragon X gene theory because the Dragon X gene theory rests on the idea that I'd say the biggest weakness of the Dragon X gene theory is actually this period of time in history. All the other periods of history work really, really well with the Dragon X gene. The weakest part of the whole theory is this, and it kind of relies on the High Towers having dragon riding abilities, that they have silver hair, and we do have like one high tower character having silver hair and then another high tower character looking like Daenerys. We don't really know what the rest of the high towers look like. Another high tower looks like Sarah, Jaehaerys's daughter. So I suppose we have two characters that look like Targaryens and one with silver hair. I think it's it's thin. The evidence is thin. Like I say, the weakest part of the Dragon X gene theory is right here, that Alicent secretly has a Dragon X gene that she can pass on to Daron and Aemond and Aegon. But like if you're ignoring the Dragon X theory, it's just that he's getting the ability to ride the dragon from his father, and so he would it would be a Nazi eugenics dragon bloodline, just like the Strong Boys. So I don't think like in the show, because the show's not going with Dragon X or any of that. They're just going with, their parents are Targaryen, so they can still, it's split, you know. Um, just like in real life, your mom has red hair, your dad has red hair. The chance of your child having red hair, it's still there. It's not really gender related. So they're just doing the same with the dragons here. Um, but what would I do with the Daron character now? I mean, you feel like there has to be something with now that we've established that there's this tension between Daron and Ormond about what makes a good king and what makes morality and stuff like that. There's so little time, but it'd be nice if Daron had his own personality. He seemed like he was gonna be better than Ormond, and then he went and killed the guy at the end anyway. So you feel like he should at some point stand up to Ormond, and that should be the difference. Is that he needs to learn to stand up to Ormond and be moral. Um, Needs to be something for his character to do. So maybe that's going to be a problem. Maybe later on, and that'll somehow lead to Daron's um, death. So or the things falling apart. I get the feeling that Ormond Daron will die too quickly for us to care. Rhaena might be written poorly, but at least she's been around a little longer. Aemon should get development instead. Well, I will say that more time has been given to Ormond than Rhaena in his entirety. We seem like we know Ormond, and we still don't seem like we know Rhaena. Daron, we don't know. So we'll see. I mean, I do. It's the season. This is the thing. Season's half done, right? We only got 4 more episodes. And if we're ending this season, I mean, I don't know if we're going to end the season at the Dragon Pit, but if we're ending the season at least at Tumbleton, we know that Tumbleton, at least first Tumbleton, is happening. You know, Daron doesn't have much time. He's got the rest of the season. Let me see here. Um, Interesting. Okay. I guess. So in the source material, Ormond dies at first Tumbleton and Daron at second. Um, so I suppose maybe you could stretch it out. I'm trying to think. All right, let's figure this shit out. It's getting late, but I got to figure this shit out. Okay. Deep down. All right. Major events we still got going on. First Tumbleton. We've got to have first Tumbleton, right? And we've got to have Butcher's Ball. And then we got Riot. And we got second Tumbleton. Okay. And then major events we're talking. We got God's Eye. We got Baela's fight with Sunfire, right? And then we got Rhaenyra. And we got to deal with.
Preston, do your list. I need to be right back real quick, all right?
Be back quick. I wanted to talk to you about this. Okay. I'm just trying to think of like big spectacles for the screen. And then Hour of the Wolf, right? So, I mean, we could. So, season 4, we kind of know that we're dealing with this information over here, right? we're not getting rid of our primary characters until season 4. So, we're going to leave all that. So that means this season, I think you can deal, it's a small chance you could push second Tumbleton or something to the next season, but I think if we're really talking about the last 4 episodes, you gotta have a big battle at Tumbleton, Butcher's Ball, and the Riot. Maybe you have some sort of like cool down episode in between something, but I think that's about it. These, we have to fit all these 4 events into the last 4 episodes. And that Riot, there's so much in the Riot, right? And the Riot is enormous, right? Because we've got to deal with Joffrey's death, Rhaenyra's flight, and the Dragon Pit. At least like those 3 things at minimum have to be like huge. So you have the Riot start at the end of one episode and then continue it on, and then have her escape at the end. But there's a lot the Riot has to be a whole episode. You can't. There's too much in it. And then so that leaves 3 episodes for Tumbleton, Butcher's Ball. But I think you're right that these are happening really fast. Ormond and Daron are dying real quick. And then we just somehow have this like final stuff for the end, which is just
all right.
A lot.
I'm here. What's up? God's Eye, Baela's fight, Rhaenyra's death. This is just a whole host of spoilers. Holy shit!
Well, look at this point. It's 12:10 in the morning. People
look at this point. If you're watching a Preston Jacobs stream, Preston is known for spoiling things. He spoiled a lot of things for me. So he spoiled the fact that I'm probably not going to have kids. I didn't know that. He knew this before I did. He spoiled that for me. So and he spoiled it for you guys. So Aegon's death, Hour of Wolf. I mean, Hour of Wolf, do we need like 37 episodes for that? That's probably just the final episode.
Well, it depends. Maybe. Like, Game of Thrones, when it ended, it had this whole episode of epilogue, right? Or at least half an episode. Right. I mean, because did Danny die at the end of? It's like
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
no. But I'm like, okay, episode 3 goes 6 episodes. So episode 3, they'd killed the White Walkers. Episode 4, the dragon and Missandei dies, right? And then episode 5,
Yes. Was the Battle of King's Landing,
the Battle
and
of
then
King's
6 was the
Landing.
final and the aftermath. Yeah, Danny dies
You're
in the very
right, the
beginning of
aftermath.
it.
So
Then they
Danny
have
dies kind of at what, the 1/3 point or the 1/2 point of the last episode?
I think like the 1/3 maybe, and we're being generous there, maybe 1/4, but she dies like 20 minutes in.
Yeah. So you're saying that, but I'm saying that like Hour of the Wolf could be like, yeah, the last half of the last episode, and then what you just, okay, so you're killing, like you do an 8-episode season, you're killing off Rhaenyra in like episode 7, and then kill off Aegon in the first half of the last episode, and then do Hour of the Wolf in the last half of the episode. And
I don't know. I don't. I have no idea, honestly, because I was hoping we'd see Alan Oakenfist's journey through Essos, but
that's
guess
not
not.
happening. What are you?
Probably not going to see
No,
that.
no, you're not doing that. But you have. But I'm saying you have a big like, oh, these characters come in and this regency, and we show Corlys on the throne and whatever, dealing with this regency or whatever, and you try to, because the goal is you're trying to keep up. So, but I mean, if you did that, if you're pushing all this to the end of season 8, that actually frees up a lot of space, and you could push Second Tumbleton to next season, and all we have to deal with for the rest of this season is First Tumbleton, Butcher's Ball, the Riot of King's Landing, or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember which one happens first or second, Tumbleton and the riot. Because Adam has to die. Yeah.
What is this list specifically? What you think they're gonna do? Like, what do you think is gonna happen?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like, do you think this season is ending with the riot? I think it should.
I honestly don't know. I haven't even read the leaks. Like, there's been so many leaks out there that are crazy and stupid. So, but here's the thing, though. I don't trust this writing team not to do stupid shit, because every now and then they'll do something great, like episode 3, and then they'll do something like kind of god awful, like season 2, episode 8. So I don't know. It's literally a roll of a die. It really is. The gods roll a die whenever Sarah writes an episode.
I'm just saying, pushing the riot to next season, then you're just dealing with a lot of shit. I think it's a nice like transition point, Rhaenyra fleeing and stuff like that. But I don't know.
Rhaenyra fleeing, like Rhaenyra going down has to be Rhaenyra dying has to probably be episode 7, season 4, and then season 4, episode 8, the final episode of House of the Dragon has to be like a hour and 30, maybe hour 20, like just wrapping things up and setting things up for the future. If they decide to do some kind of spin-off, I don't know. HBO is getting comfortable with doing a Game of Thrones spin-off every year now, because next year will be Night of the Seven Kingdom. Year after that, final Hot D season. So,
yeah.
So what comes after House of the Dragon season 4? Night of the Seven Kingdoms season 3. What comes after season 3? Maybe the Aegon movie. But you're really going to give us one hour Game of Thrones spin-off / movie that year, instead of like being like a whole TV show to drive up subscription numbers? Can they afford to do that? I don't know.
Yeah. Is She-Wolves done? No, I don't think George has written She-Wolves of Winterfell. No. George is incredibly silent these days. We've never seen this. I don't know what George has done. I think George is completely checked out.
You're wrong. He's not silent. He actually put out a video, or he was involved in a video by the Folio Society releasing the first 5 Game of Thrones books, the Ice and Fire books. In it, he's in the video where he goes, "Oh," and then uh, he
Good,
autographs his name
good
and puts.
show. Good show. But no, I don't think Shields of Winterfell is done. Somebody did send me a fanfic version of it of it. Um, but no, I don't. If George writes another story, it would have been Village Hero, but even though I think he may have be further along on what the plot of She-Wolves is, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get that. No, even though
It's you're right. It's unheard of for him not to go as long as he has without doing a blog post. But it also, the blog post has become kind of annoying because I'll see someone say, "Yo, new George blog post," and I'll be like, oh, maybe he's commented on something, maybe
yeah,
he's telling us about his progress or something he's done, whatever, and it's just, oh, advertisement for something else to fucking buy. Okay,
yeah.
thanks. That's all it is now. It's ads.
By
Okay.
the way, so Poker Face Allison has come in here. This is funny. This is Poker Face Alice. I'm a stable genius. That it is true. Like her eyes and mouth movements are like she bug eyes and then does these like tight
I
mouth
blame
things.
you for this. I blame you for this. I never noticed any of this bullshit until you pointed it out in episode 1. I never know. I blame you for these.
This is
I blame you
this is
for this.
this is such a I don't know why I did this picture. This picture is fucking
You did.
beautiful.
This is you. This is all you. This is all you.
This is a brilliant thing. Poker Face
Ridiculous. This is
Allison.
ridiculous. This has to be photoshopped. It's this. It has to be photoshopped.
I know, but it's almost like stylistic. It's almost looks like a like a painting by like I don't know, like Rembrandt or something, you know. Um da, 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 da. Why hasn't anyone on Rhaenyra's small council recommended that she seize the Lannister gold? Mines as recompense for stolen royal treasury. They did last episode talk about how they needed that they were going to send a letter demanding that it like arrive or something. But I think at this point, before they were even able to do that, they they are now realizing that the war is back on. The Straits of Hormuz are are closed. Rhaenyra's like, what? The Straits of Hormuz are still closed? I thought there was a peace agreement. Damon insisted on Truth Social that there was a peace agreement, that the Straits of Hormuz are open for business. The oil is just flowing. Everything is fine. But yeah, the I think they just didn't have the time. But you're right that they should have been demanding this, flying around. Send a dragon there, demand their money. Did Mace Tyrell allow Davos and possibly others to break his blockade and provide Stannis with food, thus prolonging his campaign until a victor was certain? Did one shipment of onions really matter? You gotta. Well, I do think that like a a garrison of a castle can be smaller than you think. So you know, um, let's say let's keep it really small. That they have this garrison of only a couple hundred people, and let's say Davos's ship is somehow really large. I don't know how, considering we actually see the path they went through. Um, how many days can the shipment really like help them out? Let's reduce the garrison down to 100 people, 50 people. Let's reduce the garrison to 50 people. I don't know. 50. Um, enough onions. I mean, I suppose, like, I'm just trying to think of, like, could it be enough food to keep them alive for a month? The onions? I mean, assuming that there's other stuff in there. In the show, they decided to put some other stuff in there, that there was salt beef and stuff. But, um, let's say one onion a day as like a bare minimum of food to keep them alive. Two onions a day. I don't know. How many onions can fit on a ship? I guess. How many pounds of food on a small cog? Let's say that. Okay. Small medieval cog carrying about 4,000 to 10,000 pounds of food. Okay. Let's say on a starving diet, you're doing 1 pound per person per day. 100 people, 100 pounds of food a day. So yeah, I could get them a month. You conceivably it could have them go a month, but I don't I don't think Tyrell was letting anybody in. Um, uh, I don't think it would be too diff. Even if he had a sneaky plan, there'd be no way he'd be able to implement it with so many people around, because he's got just a whole army there and a whole chain of command. Never be able to get away with it. All right, getting to the end here. Did the fake Daron ploy by Ormond Hightower using a royal decoy as a security protocol for a royal Targaryen employee make you reconsider the fake Viserys theory that Rhaella may have done the same in the book? Uh I think that, I mean, as a person that believes there's something definitely weird about Danny, and that there was maybe a swap with Danny, I think it's I don't think, like, logistically there's it'd be difficult to do a swap. Like, you're on Dragonstone, you've got dragon seeds all over the place, the population's got silver hair. Like, it's not that difficult. Not to mention, you've got all these free cities people, Lyseni and whatever, that all look like Targaryens. The thing is in the books, the Targaryen look, even though at the beginning of the story they make a big deal out of it, like, oh no, like, Khal Drogo is gonna love her. She's got this Valyrian look, and it's just like, and then you find out that everybody has the fucking Valyrian look. That they're fucking the world is littered with these people. Got cities filled with thousands and thousands of people that look Valyrian. Um, the show never really established that. Like, the show, you never really had these. Well, it's double edged. On the one hand, they never really established that there's cities filled with Valyrian looking people, but then again, Valyrians don't look that different in the show. They just have white hair. Nothing else is different about them. They have super blonde hair. They don't have purple eyes. They don't have unusually pale skin. They don't have, anything like that. Aquiline noses. They just have blonde hair. That's it. That's the only thing about them. So, in the show, I think it's relatively easy to do a swap. I don't think Viserys was swapped, just because he's old enough to remember that, and he's got lots of knowledge. about the Seven Kingdoms and things like that, and he seems legitimate. His emotional trauma seems legitimate. That a swapped boy would not have. Well, Danny doesn't know what the fuck's going on, so the swaps are easy in the show because Targaryens don't look that different. The swaps are easy in the books because fucking Targaryen, like Valyrian looking people are everywhere. So it's just Valyrians are not special in either situation, but for different reasons. War is the second most powerful. I don't know what that. I have to get clarification on that. Oh, here we go. Oh, what is the second most? Sorry, it's here. What is the second most powerful house in each kingdom region at the start of Game of Thrones and in Westerosi history? Oh, I mean, generally speaking, in the North, we know that it's the. In the North, we know that it's like manpower wise, it's the Starks followed by the Boltons, though logically speaking, it probably should be the Manderleys, considering that they have White Harbor and they have more people and more money. It should be the Manderleys, but the Boltons seem to have the largest army for some reason. Not really explained why. It should be the Manderleys no matter what, but it's really the Boltons. In the Riverlands, obviously it's the Tullys, and we kind of think of the Freys. The Freys just have a massive army. And I can't think of it's not like you don't think of, Seaguard or the Brackens and the Blackwoods and such being there, but being important, but the Freys just have such a fucking large army of thousands and thousands of people. In the Reach, obviously it's the Tyrells, and it's probably the Hightowers would be next, but the Hightowers have kind of out of the story. So the Florents kind of become the number two, that they were the ones that were super powerful, but the Hightowers are probably the second most powerful. In the Stormlands, we're never really told who would be the second most powerful house. I'm guessing it's something like the Swans would be my guess. Would be House Swan, Dondarrion. It's it's surprising that like Stormland's culture is, we know so little about it, considering that the king was from there. But yeah, we have to assume it's something like Swan. Nobody else really fits the bill on having enough power. Westerlands, I would guess it'd be something like, I would guess Brax or something. Though we're never told of any secondary houses having much but I'm just gonna throw it out there that it's House Brax. No, we don't hear about anybody else. Maybe House Marbrand. You just got to pick one. In the Vale, it's obviously Royce. That's the grit. That one we know for sure. So Aaron and Royce. And is that everybody we cover? Oh, and the Iron Islands, it seems to be probably Botley. Great. We hear about a lot of Botleys, so I would guess it's Botley. Or Harlaw. Actually, Harlaw is probably number two. They've got the largest island. So I'd say Greyjoy, Harlaw, Stark, Bolton, Tully, Frey, Tyrell, Hightower. Dorne, it's obviously it's Martell, Ironwood. We know that one. And then for the Stormlands, I'm just going to guess that it's Swan, and for the Westerlands, I'm just going to guess it's Brax. You know, we don't really hear about anything. That's my guess. It's my guess. Isn't Kristen Cole the father of Daron? Isn't that what Allison was talking about? So Daron doesn't have Targaryen blood. He's still bonding to a dragon. Oh. That's interesting. I mean, we don't hear about. I mean, obviously they're fucking after Viserys dies, but do we hear anything about them fucking beforehand? It wouldn't surprise me. She definitely doesn't admit to it. She admits to only doing it after. But how is he bonding to the dragon if he's actually Kristen Cole's child? I mean, still Jace could be Kristen Cole's child, but that would be something. But then, I mean, they all think he's going to have silver hair. I do wonder. I mean, I think the whole implication here is that his hair has dyed. That eventually you're going to see the silver hair come out. Otherwise, there's no bonding to the dragon. I mean, not in the show. They'd have to have fully accepted Dragon X gene theory that Allison somehow has the gene, and that he somehow got the dragon. No. Unfortunately, Kristen Cole, unless they're accepting Preston Jacobs' Dragon X gene theory, which I don't think so. There's no way that Daron is bonding to the dragon without Targaryen blood.
And Kristen Cole is everyone's father. My God,
I know, man.
He's
actually
his father. He might be.
Helena. He was fucking Helena, and Baelor's father is really Kristen Cole.
Should have been me.
What do you think about that one?
I think that's the last super chat, by the way. That's the great one. I think that's the last super chat, by the way.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
I banned that person. You're fine.
Was some weird religious person coming in?
I have no idea.
Okay. Kristen Cole even have children. He slept with 2 queens and now they've gotten pregnant. That's funny. He's. I mean, it could be that Jace is. I mean, we never found out. Jace is dead. So, anyway, this is funny. It's like. You know,
just end the stream. Just end the stream.
It's like, man, I was ready to. I suddenly just found Jesus based on this spam. That's the way to. It's the way. It's based on spam. I found Jesus. That's.
I wouldn't even answer this person's super chat. It's like I wouldn't even do that. You're literally about to wrap up. You're clearly tired, and homeboy just I wouldn't even answer it.
Did somebody say that Daron was a bastard in the garden?
No one said that.
No. I mean, that would be something. But anyway, thank you, free armadillos. Thank you, everyone. I'll gotta who knows what to do. I don't know what jokes to make on this week. We'll see about how Brandon, Chad, and Sweet Robin do. Thank you, Carmine, for being with me tonight. As always, I appreciate it. Thank you,
Thank you for
everyone, for
having
being
me.
here,
No.
and we'll